setting up to do a demo, and I wanted you to see that I have my form set up right here, and then in front of me right here is the paper. I'm using newsprint, so I'm just going to make sure that it's clipped on the side. Up above here I'm using a light, an overhead light, a clamp-on light that I purchased at Walmart for about $6 or $7. Not that expensive, right? So right now I'm just kind of looking to see if everything's set up. Okay? And I'm getting ready to draw in front of you. Let's see if this works. So this week, I would like everyone, hopefully you've purchased your forms, and we're going to shift into charcoal for 1 week, okay? Actually, 1 week for beginning and advanced, but beginning will continue working on charcoal the second week, but advanced are going to shift to color, and I will be doing a video on color. So here I have, I don't know if you can see this, but I have some different examples of charcoal, and I wanted to show you. So it's very simple, not very expensive, what you need to have, but I think there is some effort you need to put in to produce the right environment. So you want to start out with newsprint paper. Newsprint is a great paper to use. For one thing, it's very inexpensive. Also, it has a tooth to it, right? If you touch it, it feels softer. It's not as smooth, right? There's a little bit of tooth, that's what I meant by tooth, texture to it. So the charcoal is going to grab it, right? I would like you to use your vine charcoal. So I have some variety of charcoals. Here are these, it's kind of round sticks. I have a larger, you can see the difference. These are great. So if you could buy like a package of these, or you could buy a box with one of these, and they're about the same price, I believe. I have lots of different types of charcoal, so many. I'm just kind of obsessed with charcoal. But here also is a kind of funky thing that I use to draw sometimes too. This is kind of weird and cube-like, but it's still close enough to vine. Even this is kind of strange. Something that looks like you'd find in a fire. I have my chamois, okay? I have some erasers. Usually I have more erasers than this, but for some reason, I don't know where I've put them. But you know, like pinky erasers, nothing expensive. You don't need anything expensive right now. The kneaded eraser is great because you knead it. You knead the charcoal back into the eraser, and then you can actually make it into the point that you need to erase. So it works really well. So these are my tools, okay? I also have these forms, which I just rolled the sphere. You can see I have the sphere, and I have the cube, and today I have the cone, and there's also a cylinder that I think you're doing exercises and perspective with right now. So these are the forms we're going to use, and I want to just share something with you about these forms. So the forms are the basic building blocks for anything, really. So earlier we learned about how to break an object down by a shape. So we know that a shape, we would start with the shape of a circle, right? To create the sphere. And the triangle to create the cone, square to create the cube, and so on and so forth. But the forms are three-dimensional, while the shapes are two-dimensional. Okay? Two-dimensional meaning that it has height and it has width, but it supposedly has no depth. And then the spheres are supposed to be, you know, these forms are supposed to be three-dimensional, because the world we live in is three-dimensional, basically. And we're drawing on, supposedly, a two-dimensional surface. I say supposedly because if we were to get really technical, we would know that there is some depth to a piece of paper, you know, whatever, I don't know what it is, but some, you know, but we're basically drawing on this flat surface, and we're creating this illusion of three-dimensionality in a two-dimensional surface. And so that's the challenge. How do we draw life? How do we draw three-dimensional objects on a two-dimensional surface, right? And that is what I want to show you how to do. So it's going to be kind of funny because I would like to be in a position where I can draw. I think it's going to be like this. And I don't really want to get in the way of the camera, but we'll just have to do what we have to do. Maybe as I get better at doing this, it'll change. I'm not sure. Okay, so let's get back to the topic of how do we create the illusion of a three-dimensional object on a two-dimensional surface. So how we do this, okay? The technique I'm going to teach you is, it's called, the way that I describe it is drawing with values. Do you remember when we were doing the value scale? And I actually would like you someplace in some corner of your paper, if you can see that. I want you, maybe I should put it down here so you can see it. I want you to draw a small value scale. Remember, do you remember that in the value scale, the first box would be pure white, right? So I'm just going to erase him. So the white of the paper is going to count for the reflective light. If you see right here, the light that hits the object, the whitest white, okay? So that first value is that lightest light. And then we have at the very end will be your blackest black. Black being where light can't get to the object. Now these are forms, so there's going to be some absorption, I think, and light will actually filter through it. But I mean, this is the best we have, so we're going to make the best of it. So anyway, so let's go back to these this value scale. So I'm just going to kind of create a simple value scale. It looks like I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 of the scale. So I want to create it to where it goes, so it's going to be, we're going to see a range. It's very hard to do it this way. I'm just going to I think it needs to be much darker because the step is too far. Just kind of do it like this. This one needs to be a little bit lighter. Just kind of work it. Always, this is the darkest, remember? This one, it's pretty nice. And then this one. What you see is you kind of, it's very easy to erase the values. Just going to go over that one a little bit. And then this one I want to be lighter. I'm going to try my chamois. See what the chamois does. Oh, the chamois is just too much. Maybe I'll try the chamois with that one. I want this one to be here. And this one looks like it needs to go a little darker. To kind of get what I'm doing. So if I create 7, right? This one. And then there's that one. Just really kind of create that idea of there being, to me they still blend, so let's see. Can't use the chamois because it's too dramatic. But you kind of get it, so kind of create a value scale. Alright, my paper's really bumpy. Excuse me. Alright. So, our clippies. I have lots of clippies someplace. Okay. So what I do next is, if you look at the air around the objects, okay? And if we're drawing with values, then we recognize that the lightest value is the reflective light on the sphere. Right here on the cone, and if you can see on the table, but there is the atmosphere, and the atmosphere is going to count for a value. So one of the things I want you to do is, once you get your newsprint, then I want you to tone your paper. And to tone your paper is very simple. You just take the side of your charcoal, and then you rub it in, and you create a tone value. And it's okay if it's not perfect, because it's just a beginning, but it'll give you a value to start out with, and it's pretty nice. The charcoal's really dirty, so be prepared. Okay, so now that that's done, I'm going to look at this sphere, and so, you know, take a little bit of time to look at what you're doing, get an idea of what the heck is going on here. Okay, so I'm going to pull this back. And I think I'm just going to focus on the sphere right now, rather than drawing all the objects. I just want you to kind of get used to it for today. Okay. So I'm going to get, I really like drawing with these. These are nice. And if they're, you just have to be careful that you get a good one. So if you get a package and they're all kind of scratchy, and you can't get any charcoal out of it, then you need to take it back and get a new one. So these are usually pretty nice. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is, I'm just going to look at the sphere, and I can see that it's a circular shape, right? So you take your hand and you kind of move around in that circular motion, and you're just kind of aware of it. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. And it is true that we're not drawing with lines, but just to get it started, usually you break the object down in these shapes, okay? There. And if it was not correct, then I would adjust it, all right? And the reason why we're not going to have lines when we draw is because we're going to use the lines to set it up, but then we're going to lose those lines, right? And we're going to be more of a tonal value being what will define it. Eventually, you know, you're going to be doing more and more, but for right now, this is what I want you to do. Because there's certain things that happen when you draw, and I don't know if you can see this, but if I were to draw this circle like that, can you see the circle there? It's just flat, you know? And what happens is, it will flatten the space. And remember, we're working to create an illusion of a three-dimensional form, okay? And by me drawing that flat black line, what happens is the form flattens in the space, okay? So you want to think about that. You want to think about how those lines will flatten the space. They will not communicate that this is a three-dimensional object. And so I'm going to show you how to do this, how to create this three-dimensional object using values. I'm going to erase it, it's bothering me. Okay, another thing that I want you to think about is this idea of, so as we're using the value scale to take this object, right, and pull it out of the flattened space, we're going to push back the space of the background behind it, right? Sometimes it's just by using shadow, but a lot of, you know, you're going to use your values to create this illusion. Okay, so I have to decide, for some reason, everything is like, I just want to draw, I don't want to draw these other guys, but for some reason my sphere just rolls. It's ridiculous. I don't know if this will let me. No. Okay, there. All right. So, there's my sphere. And do you see when I draw the shape, I'm not drawing like, oh, a heavy shape, right? You could, it's up to you. But eventually you're just going to you just kind of do a light sketch, right? And then, you know, you sometimes you get into it and you just, you know, but you're going to erase it. So, I mean, I just don't advise you to do it, okay? But you could if you wanted. So here's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to look at some other things, okay? I'm going to look at the cast shadow. I'm going to look at the sphere and what is the shadow doing, because light is hitting it right here, right? The object blocks the light. When the object blocks the light, the shadow is cast. But when you look at the shadow, one of the things you want to do, you can see a general shape. You can see a distorted shape, a distorted shadow of the form. But you can also see that some places, sometimes when light hits the object, it's going to reflect back off. And you can see this going on right here. It's a little lighter, it's a little darker here and there. The shadow is kind of blurred. You can see a shadow and then a lighter shadow, right? So there's some things that are going on, and you're going to talk about this. You're going to talk about it in this paper. This is drawing is a language, art is a language, drawing is a language. So you're going to communicate what you see. All right. So the next thing I want to do is I'm going to just kind of look. I don't like drawing. I'll be honest with you guys. I don't like doing demos. I don't like. It's very hard to speak and do a demo. So there may be times when I'll just completely lose my language. But I just want to kind of think about where is the shadow. And you may see the shadow differently because it's all about where you are and what you're seeing, okay? So I'm just going to I kind of know it's there, okay? Now, let me see, what other kinds of, do I have another piece? So, you know, it's very easy to break these pieces of charcoal. You can break them, and then you can still draw with them. And I like to use them to kind of draw on the side. Okay? And then you're going to use your finger. When you start drawing, you don't want to do like I'm doing, where I'm actually pulling back, moving forward. You don't want to do that. Because I'll tell you why. Because your perspective is going to change. But I'm doing this because I'm trying to draw for the camera. Okay. Just want to kind of get an idea. One thing that goes on when you're drawing is one value will inform another value. So while you're drawing, say this is talking to this. This will cut the form, pop the form out, and it will start to happen. And I'll show you. Start losing my you're building the form if you think about it. For my advanced class, those of you that we were drawing last year, With charcoal, this will be an old friend return. Take advantage of this time. This is something that, I don't know, simple and pleasurable about drawing forms, to me at least. I don't find it boring. So I'm just going to really just want to start building. And don't worry, I mean, I guess some people get really frustrated, everybody does, but do not worry. If you lose what you've got, you can come back again. Okay? So. Thus far, it's pretty simple. You don't really see it yet. You see a little bit of it, but not yet. You gotta come over here, I'm sorry, and see what I see. I don't really see that dark shadow all the way to this, but I do see something going on here. Today I was looking at some artwork, some drawings by I was looking at. Look at his name. Rodin. And I did not realize that he was such a beautiful, not beautiful in the natural way that you would think for drawing, but he could draw like these gestural, quick, you know, kind of forms, and so I'm recorrecting my form right now. Don't worry if it's not perfect, because you have, it's like, this is the interesting thing about drawing with charcoals, is they move, you know? It doesn't have to be permanent. Do not use the compressed, because compressed, it moves differently. It's the way that compressed is made. Compressed charcoals are the ones that look, they come in a box, sometimes not, but they are shaped in a rectangular shape, and the medium is different. Okay, so I'm just kind of playing with it. Just want to make sure. Okay, so now I'm going to use my eraser, and I'm going to start finding some things. So I bought these little, you know, the kind that the erasers that you put on the ends of your pencils. So I bought, you know, I can't remember why I bought them. Did I buy them for the kids? Did I buy them for myself? I really think I bought them for myself. And I think it was to do demos last year, is what I think. And I don't know why. I don't think I ever used them. I don't really know. So now what you're going to do is it's like you're drawing with your eraser, but it's called retractive, and you're going to actually take some of the charcoal out. And you can add more back to it eventually, but I don't like getting in front of that camera. I don't want everybody to see the back of my arms. I'm embarrassed. There's nothing I can do about it though. So, kind of gives you an idea. I need a little, gotta get a brush real quick, because I need a brush to sweep. You need like a little paintbrush will work, where you can sweep off some of the erasers, shavings. this one work. And also, you know, it's good to step back from your drawing. Like I can see that there's a side that I really need to work on, which is cool. It's fine. So here's a little paintbrush that I can use to kind of clean up my clean it off on myself. Alright, so let me go back in. There's something really pleasurable about this process of drawing. It's very, I think it's so I'm darkening the background because it is back there. I'm not making it up. But and what you start to see is that it will start to cut the form. The black will recede and the form will start to, press forward. Form's going to come forward, black, recede, light colors. I think we talked about it a few weeks past, I don't know, maybe in the very beginning, about this kind of idea. Lighter colors come forward, while darker colors pull back. Starting to get there. You start to like this is supposed to be the place where light can't get to my object, okay? Alright. You just kind of go around to wherever you need to go to kind of correct things. At some point in time, you kind of have to decide, well, is everything right? Am I going to stay with it? And I am going to stay with it. I like it, okay? Now, I'm kind of like, because the form is round, I have that motion. I use that motion. Right now, there's like a dark line, I feel, that goes right here. And whatever I don't want is going to disappear. And I do see like this reflective light.